Hello, today I'll be going over users. Users are very important as they are basically digital representations of people that use the computer. Therefore, it is very important to know how to secure them. The most important account to secure would be the root user. Usually you want to disable the root account because of the power it has. However, you should still be able to log into it indirectly through sudo-i, which is what I'm doing in this video. To disable the root account, just run password-l root, and that basically disables the account. Of course, if you're not already logged in to the root account indirectly through sudo, you would just have to put the sudo word in front of it. Now I'll just log out to show you. As you can see here, I am disabling the root account by adding sudo in front of the previous command I run, because I am now outside of the root account, and it still works. The bulk of what you'll deal with are normal accounts. These are the accounts that people use, and you need to know how to control them and secure them so that you can have a secure system overall. To add a user, you can do this. And what user-add user1 does is it just adds a user that is named user1. You need to have root permissions in order to do this, so you would just add sudo in front of it again if you were not logged into the root account. Alternatively, you can do this from the setting pages as well. To do this, you go to System Settings, User Accounts, and then you see that user1 has been added. Well, if you want to add another user, first you need to unlock it, and the password you put in is your password for sudo, or just your normal password. And then you can add a user account by pressing the plus. Let's say user2, yes. Now, if you want to remove that user, you would use userdel. In this example, you would use userdel user1, and then user1 would disappear. As you can see, no more user1. You can also do this through the settings pages using the minus button on the user, and then you just press delete files. I'm going to add another user again, user1, so that I can show some more functionality with users. During the competition, you will also need to know how to manage what group the user is in, specifically whether or not the user is an administrator or not. To do this on the command line, you would use the add user and del user commands. A bit confusing. To make user1 an administrator, I would type this in. Add user, user1, and then the group for administrators is called sudo on Ubuntu. And then, as you can see here now, he's an administrator. And then to remove this user from the administrator group, you just use del user, user1, and then sudo. Now this user is a standard user again. Another important thing to do would be to change passwords. To set a password for a user, you use the password command. In addition to that, you also want to make sure that you are using a good password. A good password is at least 8 characters long, has one number, one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, and one symbol. So a good example of this would be this password. See, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. characters long, and it meets all the other requirements. So now I would set the password for user 1 like this. And then yes, you need to verify the password. Another thing you'll need to do is know how to manage the password aging information. That is like when the password expires, how long you have to wait before you reset the password, and when the computer will warn you about changing your password. And that can be done through the change command. And this command applies to each user individually. So if I wanted to set user 1's minimum time before he can change his password, I would do something like this. And then -m for minimum time. This should be 7 days. And finally, I put in user 1. Now I'm going to change the warning date, as in how many days after a user changes his password before the computer says, okay, you should change your password soon. That is usually 14 days. And then this is -w. And then finally the maximum number of days before a user needs to reset their password. And this is done through #M, and then it should be 30. And you can check all of these changes in /etc/shadow. So I'm going to look at the file right now. If you scroll down, because it will probably be at the bottom, you will find your user. Yep, there's user 1. And then if you look at the back, this is the minimum, maximum, and then warn. While I scrolled through this file, you might have noticed the 2 signs, the asterisk and the exclamation point. The asterisk basically means that there is no password that has been set for the user yet, and the exclamation point indicates that the user has been disabled. We can take a look at root and see that it has an exclamation point because we did password -L. The last thing you'll need to know about is things called hidden users. These are users that work, but you can't see in this user accounts area right here. However, you can usually find them in the list of all the user accounts on the system in /etc/password. There are a lot of accounts that are on the system, but you can't see in the user accounts area. This is because they all have numbers right here. This number, which is a UID, and if that number is less than 1000, you can't see the user. If you look at this one, user 1 and user, they're visible here because their number for their UIDs are above or equal to 1000. Now, most of these users aren't bad and are used by system processes, but some of them could be unwanted accounts. On this system, the user hidden guy is a user I made before I started the video, and he has a UID of 999, so we can't see him on that user accounts window, and he is also an example of a hidden user that you would not want on your system. You can usually tell if it's a hidden user you don't want on your system because most of the normal system accounts have things like /bin/false, or /bin /user/sbin/no login. Notable exception is root, and this is okay because you should still be able to use the root account. That's why it doesn't have no login or false. Making it no login or false actually prevents you from using sudo-i. Usually system accounts like games cannot be logged into through this method, but legitimate users that you can use like root and hidden guy in this case can be. To log into hidden guy, I would do this: su dash and then hidden guy. And he doesn't have a password, but as we can see, I logged into him. And then exit. If you want to be able to distinguish these easily, you can just go in /etc/password and look for users that don't have no login or false binary attached to their login. However, this doesn't always work, and you need to use your discernment to check if it's a hidden user you should remove or you shouldn't. There's actually an example of this on the system here. So if you go back into password, you can see that one of the accounts, sync, doesn't have no login or false attached to it, but it is still something that you shouldn't be logging into normally because it's part of the system. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope this helped you understand more about securing users on Ubuntu.